back to Tutorial Tidbits and welcome to my channel. I'm Elizabeth St. Hilaire, and this week I was at a total loss for what to present to you. My studio has been under construction, my life has been topsy-turvy, so I am going with a simple route, a simple video. I am going to teach you and speak with you about how to care and clean and store your gel plate. You know, I'm all about making my own collage paper with the gel plate, so it's important that I take good care of my tools, and it's important that you do the same. So if you've got a few minutes, let's go check it out. Okay, so I just want to share some basic tips for caring for your gel plate and storing the gel plate. So first of all, the gel plate comes in a clamshell, and it has, and don't judge me for my clamshell situation here and my dirty gel plate. And the clamshell, it really sticks to the plate, and then you have the plate. Oh, that was very much stuck into the clamshell. Ultimately, though, the clamshells tend to break. And I have not stored this properly. I have stored this directly on the plastic of the clamshell. I have stored it with Mylar on it. Here's another one that I have with Mylar, with the Mylar attached to it. These are no-nos. I have also stored it dirty. That's also a no-no. I have to admit that sometimes I do these things, but you shouldn't, and I'm going to explain to you why. First of all, can you see the bubbles in this plate? See those indentations? Those are bubbles. Those are caused by air that has been trapped between the Mylar and the plate. And that little bit of air causes a pressure. And when you store this for a length of time with that Mylar and that little bit of air, that pressure makes an indentation in the shape of the air bubble. That will appear in your prints. This is why you do not want to store this with the Mylar on it. This is according to the manufacturer. This is part of the manufacturing process. It's not meant to be stored on the plate. It's not meant to stay on the plate. If you read the fine print in the brochure, they tell you to take it off and discard it. Now, if you feel as though I'm telling you anything that does not jive with what somebody else has told you on YouTube, I want you to know that for 2 years, I worked for Gel Press. I worked for Gel Press as a creative team artist, and everything that I'm telling you is what they told us. So it comes from the top. So the bubbles are going to end up in your prints, and you probably don't want that. So we want to get rid of them or prevent them from happening altogether. Now, for my purposes, I'm going to tear the paper up for collage. So the bubbles aren't really going to show up when I'm tearing little tiny pieces. But if I was trying to make a frameable print or a note card or gift tags or something that was going to be intact, I would not want these bubbles, and they will show up in your prints as weird outlines. I would not want those in my prints. So how do we prevent the bubbles? Well, first of all, we're going to discard that Mylar, but we're definitely going to put the plate back in some kind of a protective covering to prevent it from getting dust all over it. So what Gel Press suggests is that you take the plate and you take two very smooth sheets of paper. And the smoothest paper that I have is this sketch rice paper that I used to print on, because it has a sized side, which is very smooth, and a rough side, which is not quite so smooth. So I'm going to take the 2 sheets out of this pad and put the smooth side down on the plate. And this porous material is not going to stick and trap air and cause all that pressure like the Mylar does. Or basically, if you put it back in the plastic clamshell without anything on it, that becomes just like the Mylar, and it will make bubbles with trapped air. So the paper is a porous material. It's not going to trap air. And then you're going to put it back into the clamshell. Snap it together. And the other thing you do not want to do is put this in your cabinet with other things stacked on top of it, because that will also cause air bubbles from the pressure. The plate is pretty sturdy and does not scratch or chip or ding. You can't even carve into it with a linoleum tool. And trust me, I've tried. But if something presses into it for any length of time, it can indent. I travel with the gel plate, and for a while I was just putting the paper on it and throwing it into my workshop suitcase. And then I had one that came out with a big divot in it from where the brayer was pressed against it and pressed in the suitcase. And I didn't take it out right away when I got home, and that dent from the edge of the brayer never came out. The bubbles are a little bit easier to get out because they're very shallow, but a big divot from something pressing on it for any length of time will not come out. So you've got your smooth paper on both sides, so the gel plate is not sticking to the plastic, and this is how you're going to store it. Then you're going to put it on the shelf like a book. That way nothing is pressing on it. Slide it in between things like a book on the shelf. Now it is perfectly stored. Okay? So this is the same paper that I print on. This is the best paper that I like to store it with. It's a 9x12 pad, so it'll cover the full plate. Now, if your clamshell breaks, like oftentimes they do after a while, there is a tin that Ranger makes. It's a gel plate storage tin. It is perfectly good as long as you're not traveling with it. You see how mine is quite dented? This is from traveling with it, again, smushed in the suitcase. I think, and I know that if you were just using this in your studio, storing it on the shelf like a book, not squeezed in a suitcase, this would be a great solution for if your clamshell has cracked or broken, because this is a nice hinged metal container. But don't travel with it, and don't pile anything on top of it, because that's what it's dented down from having stuff on it in the suitcase. All right. I just recently got a new set of colored pencils, and I don't travel with these colored pencils, and the tin is pretty much exactly the same thing. And you can see there's no dents or divots in this because I just keep this in my studio. So this is definitely damaged because of all the time that it spends in the travel suitcase. Now, I have the gel plate in the tin. I have the paper on both sides of it. The porous paper, perhaps, or some other cleaning procedure, this gel plate is not quite as clear and sparkly and shiny as it was when it was new, but it certainly still works just fine. So I'm not at all worried that it has a sort of a matte surface, and I do think that that's from storing it with the paper. The plate has mineral oil in it, and so anytime you want to recondition it, really clean it, get stains off of it, you want to wipe it, rub it down with mineral oil, which is also known as baby oil. So you don't want to use olive oil, cooking oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, no. Only mineral oil, which is what you get with baby oil. So you can clean any stains from Posca pens, inks, dyes, anything that stains the surface will typically come out with the mineral oil. I usually don't worry too much about that because the stains don't affect the printing, but some people have messaged me and said that their Posca pens stained their plate, and how do they get them clean? And the best way to get it clean is to wipe it down with the mineral oil. It takes all the marks off. Now, lots of people tell me I never clean my plate because I want that grunge. Well, I want that grunge too. I love to pick up all this with a print and get all this beautiful grunge. However, the longer this stays on here, the harder, more difficult it is to pick up with a print. So when I put the plates away for any length of time, I clean them completely. So this has got some thick stuff on it. The baby oil is not really going to get this off. The baby oil is more for stains and not really that grungy thick paint buildup. So how am I going to clean this? Well, you can scrub it with water wipes. These are a biodegradable alternative to baby wipes. I got them on Amazon. They're fabulous. They're 99.9% water and a little bit of fruit extract. They're plastic free, and that's why they're biodegradable. The typical baby wipe is some weird woven plastic, and it does not biodegrade. And luckily, nicely, kindly. These are not really much more expensive, if at all, than those nasty baby wipes. So you can scrub with these, but at this point, this has been on there for a little while. So the other option is you can use hand sanitizer, because rubbing alcohol will help to slough off the paint that is left behind. Or you could use alcohol wipes. They do make those sanitizing alcohol wipes. You can also get those on Amazon. I will put the links for all these products below. The alcohol wipes will, because they have the alcohol in them that breaks down the acrylic, they will also get it off. You can also run it under the water in the sink with soap. But my favorite way to do it, because I think it's easier than any of that, is to use the packaging tape. This is heavy duty clear packing tape. I'm going to strip it across the whole surface of this plate. Then I'm going to wrap it around the ends. And to get it really tight, I roll the plate. Roll it. And that stresses that tape over the whole surface and makes it really tight. I used to burnish it with my fingernails, and then I figured out this rolling technique so I don't have to rub my fingernails over the surface, and this really gets that tape on there tight. Then I'm just going to peel the tape, and you can see that it is removing all that heavy, thick layer of paint. And I am only doing this before I put the plate away. I am not doing this between printing. I am not suggesting that you give up your good grunge at all. I'm only going to do this before I put the plate away because, like I said, I find it difficult to get the paint to come up with a pickup print once it's been sitting on there for weeks at a time. So even some of this doesn't want to come off with the tape. So let's see, we're on the back side now. This is my thickest area. And you'll go through a lot of tape if you use this all the time between prints anyway. So I just do this before I put it away. I want to put it away clean. I want to put those 2 sheets of smooth paper on the surface. Oh, now I don't know where the tape is. And I want to put it in my tin or back in my clamshell. There we go. So that's pretty darn clean. We got a few little pieces on there, but nothing like what was. So it's pretty clean. I could tape it one more time or baby wipe it and put it away. So I am on my non-stick craft mat surface on my desk. And this is a non-porous surface. And you want to be working on a surface like this because for the mineral oil that is in this plate, it will leach out onto a wood surface, your grandmother's coffee table, fabric, and you will get a wet, kind of an oily square under the plate. So you definitely want to use it on something that is not porous so it won't stain. So I like the craft mat for that reason. All right, so when we have those bubbles in the plate, the people at Gel Press suggest putting the baby oil onto the surface and massaging it, really massaging it into the plate, getting it in there really good, both sides, because the bubbles, you don't know what side they're on. It's hard to tell. Massaging it and then leaving it on a non-porous surface overnight. They say that will remove most of the bubbles by the morning. That simple massage of the baby oil in it will remove those low indentations caused by the air trapped. Now, they say that if that doesn't do the trick, the next thing you do is massage the baby oil into it again on both sides. Then you put it on that smooth sheet of rice paper. Where is my other smooth sheet? You can also use copy paper for this, but I like the fact that this is my 8 by 10 plate and the rice paper is 9 by 12, so I don't have to worry about lining it up perfectly. So you've massaged all the baby oil into it. This is if it doesn't get the bubbles out overnight. So if you have to go to the next level, you massage the baby oil into it, you put the paper on it, and then you cover it with a heavy book. Now, this is not a heavy book, but I have to give myself a shameless plug because this is my amazing gel prints working with stencils book that is all about gel printing. And it's available on Amazon. I'll give you the link below. So we need a heavy book. So here's a heavy book. This is a 3-inch thick art history book. We're going to put that on top of it after it's had the baby oil massaged into it. It has the paper on both sides, and we're going to leave it for a couple of days. Then after a couple of days, you lift it up, take your paper off, and hopefully that has removed your bubbles. Now, if this seems like a lot of work trying to get these bubbles out, you know why it's best to prevent them from happening at all in the first place. Prevention is the best cure. The other thing, the alternative to this tape that you can use to clean the plate is a couple of different things. I'm going to link a video in the upper right-hand corner that I did with Barb from Joggles. I believe it was just last week. And we used sticky stuff to clean the plate. And it worked out really well. I'm trying to find my example, but I can't find it. I have been rearranging my studio. I moved and I've been under construction for the past 6 months. And anyway, so the sticky stuff, I'll link the video. The sticky stuff is a big, large sheet, and it is acid-free, and it is archival. So you can pull the paint off with the sticky stuff, and then you can use the sticky stuff in your art. This you can't use in your art because it's not archival. It's Scotch tape. It's going to turn yellow and crumble and make your art look terrible, and you don't want that. So the other option that I just recently bought on Amazon, because maybe I don't want to use the sheet of sticky stuff or who knows what. Here's an example of the tape and how it picks up the paint off the plate. And this tape has kind of like a fabric feel. This is artist tape. It is acid-free and it is residue-free and it is, you know, something that framers often use. So this, because this is not archival, this is. So I used this 2-inch tape that is artist and framer tape to pull my junk off the plate. And now I can use this in my art. And you can also use the sticky stuff, which comes in all kinds of different widths and giant sheets. So that is a previous video. So anyway, if you want to use it in your art, you have to use something archival. If you just want a quick clean and you don't care about using it in your art, then you're just going to use Scotch packaging tape. I find that works the best. So those are your tape options if you want to use it in your art or you don't. Okay? And if you don't have Gardner's Art Through the Ages, you just have to find yourself another really heavy book. I swear to God, this weighs 5 or 7 pounds. Okay. So I think I've covered kind of everything that you need to know if you're a beginner or an expert. These are good tips and tricks for caring for your gel plate. Now that we figured out how to get the bubbles out, how to prevent the bubbles, how to clean the plate from grunge, how to clean the plate from stains, I think that you are set and ready to go. And if you don't damage your clamshell, you can just keep on using that. But if you do damage your clamshell or you just want something a little bit extra fancy, you can go with the tin. But you definitely do want to put it away in something so that it doesn't get... where's my paper? So that it doesn't get dust on the surface of it, which also can be kind of problematic. So those are my tips and tricks for the gel plate care, and thank you for bearing with me. I was at a loss for what to do this week for a video. As I said, my house has been under construction. My studio has been under construction for just about 6 months, and most of the videos that you've seen over the last 6 months I've done with Barb, either in Sedona or in Sacramento, and she is going to be back in town on December 5th, and we'll be filming more videos here in Sacramento. So that always works out great for me, and has been since this construction has been going on. So thank you for bearing with me today. Thank you for being willing to have a different kind of a video, and I didn't want to leave you with nothing. So anyway, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you watching all of my YouTube videos.